For centuries, the Stoics mastered the art of living, not by chasing pleasure or avoiding pain, but by building an unshakable mind. In a world drowning in noise, distraction, and stress, their wisdom is more relevant than ever. These 7 daily habits are not just routines. They are tools to make you calmer, stronger, and unstoppable. Practice them, and you won't just improve your life, you will transform it forever. Asterisk 1. Begin your day with silence before you touch your phone, before you speak to anyone. Sit in stillness. Breathe deeply. Let your mind settle like calm water after a storm. Marcus Aurelius began each morning preparing himself for the day ahead, reminding himself of life's brevity, inevitable challenges, and his duty as a human being. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Silence in the morning is not emptiness, it is preparation. It's the mental armor you put on before the battles of the day begin." Epictetus advised, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This short period of quiet allows you to do exactly that, to decide who you will be today before the world decides it for you. Your first thoughts are like the opening note of a song. They set the tone for everything that follows. Choose clarity over chaos. Asterisk 2. Practice morning reflection. Once you've taken your first moments in silence, the next step is to direct your mind. The Stoics believed that without deliberate guidance, the mind drifts, pulled by emotions, impulses, and distractions. So each morning, they anchored themselves with reflection. Marcus Aurelius began his day by reminding himself of the reality he would face. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, "Today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness." This was not pessimism. This was preparation. If you expect obstacles, you are not surprised by them. If you are not surprised, you are not shaken. Morning reflection is simple but powerful. Ask yourself 2 questions. What is within my control today? What virtues will I choose to live by? Epictetus gave us the foundation for the first question, when he said, "Some things are in our control and others not." By acknowledging this each morning, you cut away unnecessary worry. You cannot control the weather, other people's moods, or the economy, but you can control your honesty, your patience, your effort. The second question, about virtues, shapes how you will live. Seneca reminded us, "If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable." Choosing your virtues is like choosing your port. Will you sail toward courage, toward kindness, toward discipline? When you make that choice before the day begins, you are less likely to be blown off course. Morning reflection doesn't require an hour-long ritual. Even 2 or 3 minutes can change your entire mindset. It might be writing in a journal, reviewing your goals, or simply sitting with your thoughts. The point is to step into the day as a commander, not a wanderer. When you start your morning with reflection, you train yourself to act instead of merely react. The day will still surprise you, but you will meet it with readiness, not panic. The Stoics knew that clarity at dawn creates strength at dusk, and so should you. 3. Train your mind to expect obstacles. Life will never go exactly as you plan. And the Stoics didn't just accept this truth, they prepared for it. They trained their minds to expect difficulties, not with dread, but with readiness. Marcus Aurelius began his day with a reminder to himself. The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. Wrestling is unpredictable. You never know what your opponent will do, but you learn to adapt in the moment. The same is true for life. This practice is called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, before the day begins. Imagine the challenges you might face: delays, misunderstandings, rejection, even loss. This isn't negative thinking, it's mental armor. If you prepare for these events, you can meet them without surprise, without panic. Epictetus taught, when you are about to undertake some action, remind yourself what kind of action it is. If you go to bathe, picture to yourself the things which usually happen in the bath, some splashing the water, others pushing against one another, others abusing one another, and some stealing. He meant, if you expect life to be messy, you won't be angered when it is. When you don't anticipate obstacles, every difficulty feels like an injustice. You take traffic personally. You treat criticism as an attack. You see delays as a curse. But when you expect them, you simply adjust and move forward. Seneca put it clearly, he suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary. By training your mind this way, you suffer less. You understand that frustration, failure, and even loss are not personal. They are simply part of the human experience. So each morning, ask yourself, what could go wrong today? How will I respond if it does? When you do this, obstacles stop being roadblocks and start becoming tests of your discipline, patience, and wisdom. A Stoic doesn't hope for an easy life. A Stoic builds the strength for a difficult one, and that strength begins in the mind. 4. Control your inner dialogue. The most constant voice in your life is the one in your own head. And if that voice turns against you, you can become your own worst enemy. The Stoics understood that we cannot always control what happens to us, but we can control how we interpret it. That interpretation begins with our inner dialogue, the words we silently repeat to ourselves all day. Epictetus reminded us, men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. Two people can face the same setback. One sees it as a disaster, the other as a challenge to overcome. The difference is not in the event, but in the story they tell themselves about it. If your inner voice constantly says, I can't do this, I'm unlucky, or this always happens to me, you will live in defeat before the battle even begins. But if you train that voice to say, I can endure this, this is temporary, or this will make me stronger, you carry an invisible shield. Marcus Aurelius practiced this mental discipline every day. If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now. Notice, he doesn't say this is easy. He says it is in your power. That's the heart of Stoic self-mastery. You may not win every battle in the outside world, but you can win the war inside your own mind. To control your inner dialogue, catch harmful thoughts the moment they arise. Replace them with rational, balanced truths. Speak to yourself as you would to a trusted friend, with firmness, but also with encouragement. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Most of the damage is done by our own thoughts, the endless replaying of insults, the imagining of worst-case scenarios, the quiet drip of self-criticism. Change the voice, and you change your life. Your mind can be a prison, or it can be a fortress. The difference is whether you control the voice that speaks within it. * 5. Practice voluntary discomfort. Modern life is built for comfort. Warm beds, constant entertainment, food at the press of a button. But comfort, when it becomes constant, makes us weak. The Stoics understood that if you only live in ease, the first hardship will break you. That's why they trained themselves to step into discomfort on purpose. Seneca described it plainly: set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself, "Is this the condition that I feared?" By living simply, eating plain food, wearing rough clothes, even sleeping on the floor, they reminded themselves that they could survive without luxury. The fear of losing comfort lost its power over them. Epictetus advised the same. If you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or stupid in extraneous matters. Do not wish to seem knowledgeable. Voluntary discomfort isn't just about physical hardship. It's about willingly stepping into situations that challenge your pride, your ego, or your convenience. Practical examples today might be taking a cold shower, walking instead of driving, fasting for a meal or a day, leaving your phone behind for hours, saying no to an unnecessary indulgence. Each time you choose discomfort, you build resilience. You discover that the thing you feared, hunger, cold, boredom, awkwardness, is survivable. And with that realization comes freedom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Voluntary discomfort is a way to prove that to yourself. You train your mind to stay steady, even when the body or ego protests. You stop being dependent on perfect conditions to feel okay. Most people wait for life to test them. The Stoic tests themselves first, so when real hardship comes, it feels familiar. When you practice voluntary discomfort, you are telling the world, "I am not owned by comfort. I am prepared for whatever comes." * 6. End your day with evening review. The Stoics believed that each day is a lesson, but only if you pause long enough to learn from it. That's why they ended their evenings with reflection, not to dwell on mistakes, but to turn them into wisdom. Seneca described his nightly ritual in detail. "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, aware of this habit of mine, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said. I hide nothing from myself. I pass nothing by." This wasn't about guilt. It was about clarity. If you don't review your actions, you risk living the same mistakes over and over again. The process is simple. Before sleep, ask yourself 3 questions. What did I do well today? Where did I fall short? How can I improve tomorrow? Epictetus gave similar advice. Admit not sleep into your tender eyelids till you have reckoned up each deed of the day. How have I erred? What have I done? What duty have I left undone? By doing this, you keep your moral compass sharp. You catch yourself when you've been impatient, unkind, or distracted, and you decide how you'll do better next time. The key is honesty without cruelty. Don't use the evening review to punish yourself. Use it to train yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The evening review is your chance to measure your day against that standard. Even 5 minutes of reflection before bed can turn ordinary days into a lifelong education. Over weeks, you'll notice your weaknesses shrinking and your strengths multiplying. Over years, you'll become a person who acts with more intention and less regret. The Stoics understood. A day without reflection is a day wasted. But a day examined is a day that lives forever in the service of your growth. *7. Keep death in mind. Memento mori. The Stoics carried with them a truth that many today avoid. Life is short and death is certain. They called this memento mori. Remember that you must die. At first, it may sound grim, but to the Stoics, this wasn't about despair, it was about urgency. When you keep death in mind, you stop wasting time on the trivial, the petty, and the meaningless. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Every breath you take is a moment you will never get back. Every sunrise you see is one less sunrise you will have in your life. When you truly grasp this, you start living differently. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. We waste it in arguments, in chasing what doesn't matter, in postponing what we know we should do." Memento mori burns away this waste. It forces you to ask, if this were my last day, would this matter? This is not about living recklessly, it's about living deliberately. It's about telling the people you love that you love them. It's about acting on the goals you've delayed. It's about forgiving while you still have the chance. Epictetus was clear. I cannot escape death, but at least I can escape the fear of it. And how do you escape the fear of death? By living so well, so fully, that when the end comes, you have nothing left unsaid, nothing left undone. Keeping death in mind gives life weight and sharpness. Without it, the days blur into each other. With it, every day becomes precious. The Stoics knew, you do not control how long you live, but you control how well you live. And the best way to live well is to remember you will not live forever. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. These 7 habits are not quick fixes. They are not trendy hacks. They are timeless disciplines practiced by men and women who faced wars, loss, betrayal, and uncertainty, yet remained unshaken. Begin your day in silence. Reflect before you act. Expect obstacles. Control the voice within. Choose discomfort. Review your actions. And never forget the shortness of life. Do this every day, and you will not just improve, you will transform. The world will notice the change in you, but more importantly, you will notice it in yourself. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one The choice is yours. The time is now. Live it fully, courageously, and without regret.